What a weekend it was. The Oklahoma State Cowboys stunned number 3 Missouri and moved into the AP's top 10. Now on a special Monday edition of OSU Football with Scott Wright, we're here to break it all down. Hello from the Dodge Sports Desk. I'm Mike Koehler. Joining me is Scott Wright. Scott, let's get right to it. How did they do it?
Well, they answered the big question that they had to answer going into this game. Can they play some defense against a really good offense? And they did it. They, Tim Beckman came out with a really detailed game plan that was really impactful for this particular game. There's been some talk that maybe Beckman had a pretty good feel for this offense. Mm-hmm. Maybe Gary Pinkel, he had some interest in the Bowling Green offense way back when he was at Toledo, and of course Beckman was the defensive coordinator there at the time, and so the connection goes back a ways, but still this is a lot different offense than what Toledo was doing way back then. Anyway, but still, Beckman was able to devise a game plan that really attacked Missouri where Oklahoma State knew they could attack them, and then at the end Oklahoma State was able to come up with some turnovers, and that was the one thing that they had to do was get Missouri off the field and get the ball back to their offense. Yeah,
that's what we had talked about. They needed to do against Missouri what they did against A&M, and when you have the 3 big picks, none bigger than Patrick Levine's there at the end, that's what they were able to do. Is there one defining moment that stands out for you where you knew, hey, they're on the right track? Did that happen early, or did you have to wait until Patrick Levine intercepted that pass?
Well, to know for sure, you had to see that last pick, but there were 2 things that happened really early on the first 2 offensive series for Missouri that made me question, are they going to be able to play some defense today, or are they going to be able to hang around? Because it was starting to look like they could. The first drive, they had the goal line stand and force a field goal when Ori Lemon comes up with the big 3rd down tackle on Derek Washington at the 1. Missouri hadn't given up, had scored a touchdown on the first drive of the game, every game this season, and so holding them to a field goal there was a really pretty big victory. Missouri's second drive, 3 and out. They hadn't had one of those.
They had never had one of those.
Yeah, so. And in 49, that was the 50th offensive series for them of the season. They hadn't had one yet, and then and Oklahoma State forces one. Those 2 things right off the bat made me think maybe they've got a chance to play some good defense here today.
And then Damian Davis comes up. Des Bryant takes a beating for one thing, but then then they find that number 2 receiver that they've been kind of talking about who that is going to be all year long. Talk a little bit about how the offense was working for OSU too.
Well, that second receiver was a really big thing. Obviously, Davis came up with the 2 long touchdowns, including the one on the busted play that was the final touchdown that at the time put him ahead 28-17. Davis is a really athletic guy. He doesn't look like it. He looks more like he should be playing basketball, but he's so skinny you worry that he's going to snap his femur at any time. But he's a really athletic kid, and he showed his ability. He got wide open on the first touchdown, and then adjusts to the ball on that second play and makes a great catch. He's a guy that could really become that number 2 guy as a slot receiver. He's really dangerous and could develop into that spot. And obviously they had success running the ball too. Kendall Hunter had the big run coming out in the second half for the touchdown, and he had another great day, 154 yards.
What does this do to the mindset of the guys in Stillwater? Is the defense going to be any good? Has always kind of been the punchline for golly, a long time now.
Yeah.
Does that all turn around? Do they kind of get rid of some of those demons that have been hanging on them? When's the drop off in the season going to be? When's the defense going to get better? That sort of thing.
A little bit, but they have to maintain some focus now. Gundy, the first time he was asked about any national attention, all that kind of stuff yesterday, he said this week has to be the same as every other week for us, and he's right, because you go out and get beat by Baylor this weekend, and none of what happened last weekend matters. So I think that a lot of things came together for the defense to have the performance that it did. I don't necessarily think that they've all of a sudden fixed everything. I think that they had a good game plan for this game, and it worked really well. Whether they're able to do that every week that's a tough task. And then you've got to get some better play from guys down the line when you don't have that great game plan. So that's there's still some questions to be answered about the defense. You do it once and it's it's good, but you've got to have some longevity.
What does this do going down the line to the Big 12, obviously it makes the OSU Texas game really big. Just how do you see this kind of sorting itself out?
Well, yeah, that OSU Texas game becomes a huge game. You're looking at potentially the number 1 team against 6, 7 maybe if things go right this weekend. You never know what could happen. So it's just as big as last week's game for Texas against Oklahoma. So there's a chance that ESPN Game Day could be right back down in Texas for that one too. So this has really thrust Oklahoma State into the national spotlight. 3 weeks ago they weren't even ranked, and now they're a top 10 team, and ESPN last night's discussing them in the national title race. I mean, these are the things that they're going to have to deal with at this point, as long as they keep winning, and so. And right now, of course, they're one of the teams in the driver's seat at the top of that Big 12 South race. They've still got Texas Tech, and Oklahoma left on the schedule, so it's it doesn't do a whole lot for you to be sitting there at 2-0, but you're still 2-0, and there are a few teams that can't say that right now.
Man, if things hold the farm, it'll be a heck of a bedlam game, too.
That would be crazy.
Alrighty. Thanks, Scott. Remember, folks, nobody does Cowboys coverage like we do. More reporters at the games, more video, more stories. Heck, Andrea Cohen even lives in Stillwater. Check it all out on newsok.com, newsok.tv, and every day in the Oklahoman.